is to get on with the next speaker. Brad, it's you. Introduce yourself and tell us your...
Hi there, I'm Brad, and I'm going to be talking about µEforth today. Give me 1 second to get my screen ready to go. All right, I trust everyone can see that. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, this is my feeble attempt at a blog over many years. As you can see from the dates on it, I have been woefully unsuccessful at actually doing much in the way of writing. But it's been around for some time, as you can see from the dates. And there's even a little, the one place I believe I have server-side Forth code running on the internet, wherein you can, the state for this little Forth clicker is shared across the world, and it tracks an IP heat map and then hits a box running Forth. The reason I've brought you here, though, is that one of the outcomes of this talk is that I've added a little bit of an Easter egg, and so if you navigate to this website, flagzor.com, and then you can type various different keys, but if you happen to type FORTH, it will pop up this, and then you'll get a copy of µEforth, which also has its normal home at a different place. But that was sort of the initial thing that led me down this road, is wanting to be able to do something with Forth actually within this page. In this case, this just brings it up, and we can do some for next loops to echo Bill's talk and so on. But the actual substance of the talk I've got over in a slide deck, and I'm going to run the slides from here, and that jumps into redirect. I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger in the interest of the slides all doing their thing. For those of you who've paid attention to some of my past talks and their slides, I've gone through a couple of different variations on how to do slides. For a long time, I used a tool called, I believe it's, I'm forgetting the name now. Wow, that's, anyways, there was a delightful web-based framework that I used for a long time, and then at some point I crafted my own. Well, this one is a little different because this is actually µEforth underneath, as we'll see in a moment. But so why do I want to stick Forth in a web page and use Forth in a web page? Well, Forth is great, and Forth in a web page is better. I want to be able to write parts of a web page in Forth instead of JavaScript, and I'm sort of the actual root motivation is I want to make my Forth environment work everywhere. So. The first issue to confront is just how to make it loadable. And so the copy of µEforth that I some many months got working on the web originally was this one, and it can do various things, but it was sort of originally built just to live as a part of this website. But the intention was always to sort of make it something that could be loaded elsewhere. And so first of all, I needed to sort of actually follow through on that, and that mainly meant removing all of the sort of accidental dependencies on that particular site and that particular way of deploying it. The other thing is that a number of the places that I wanted to embed it, for example, the little Easter egg I just showed, involves loading Forth after the web page has started. And so in some cases you load all of the JavaScript on the page to start, but in some cases you want to be able to inject a script tag and then run some stuff, and so that's what led to that little Easter egg. But once you've got it on the page, what you want to be able to do is use it in a variety of different ways. And one example, obviously, is just a bare page and sort of fill up the page and just do interactive forth on the page. And another possibility is to inject it into a particular div. A div is like a subtag within a web page. And then I've now structured it so that you can call µEforth start, and that will sort of bring it up. So you inject the tag, run start. But what I really wanted to do was to actually have a script tag that does forth in that tag. And so what I mean by that is that basically there's two kinds of script tags. There's sort of an inline tag where you have just script and then a closed script and then content inside of there. And then there's also script source where you on a web page reference a source file somewhere else. And ideally I want both of those to work. You can scan through the contents of a page and look for all of the tags, and you can extract the ones that are inline using tag text. But there are some caveats. The text that you get out of there, in some cases, may be missing. If you have characters that are that look, for example, like less than /script, which ends the script tag, it will, strangely enough, not interpret that as part of the text. So depending on the content of the page, can be some characters that go amiss. The other case where you load from a path requires a little bit more of cleverness. When you include JavaScript in a page, the browser understands that if you have a source sub element and a URL there, that you want to go out and have the browser download that from the internet. But unfortunately, if you label the script type as anything other than JavaScript, the browser will throw up its hands and say, I don't know how to deal with this script type. And actually, at this point, to give you some idea of where this is going, because I'm realizing I don't have the best visual aids here. Let me do view source on this page. So this is actually the slide deck, and you'll notice that there's typical JavaScript. Historically the web supported script tags, and way back early browsers actually supported early browsers originally, the earliest browser just did JavaScript, but then Microsoft came along and introduced, for a little while, they used to support a thing called VB script, or Visual Basic Script, on a website. And so they introduced the notion of adding a type element that could indicate, well, I've got script, but I would like it to be I'd like it to be VB script. And so there is an element that indicates the type. So I want to make this work. And in fact, the slide deck, as you can see, is actually crafted in Forth, which is an indication that that's been successful. But to do that, I have to be able to actually do the download for the page myself. And unfortunately, this comes with a critical caveat, which is that when you do local testing of a page, if you have a script tag that that requires one of these downloads will break. There's a sort of a content security policy notion that you don't want to just have a file that you load on your system reach out and download something from the internet. And so it makes local testing a pain, but it is useful. And as we'll see when we look into the plumbing of it, it wasn't too bad to do it. I had done something like this before. For those of you who've seen some of my prior talks, I made a version of BASIC a while back that is that actually allows for something similar. It lets you include a script tag in much the same way, in a similar kind of a reference, and then you can have something like hello world, and include basic code, and then and then if you can run the actual content. In the case of this basic, you'll see this is an image, and so it's rendering, you know, into a canvas tag, and which is lovely if you are actually doing graphics and want to, you know, do things like run Donkey. But for my particular Forth, I've actually got kind of a text mode, and then there's an option to overlay graphics. The other case where I do something a little bit like this is actually my normal slide framework. So if you go to where I usually put all of my SVFIG talks. Whoops, if I can, that's not where I put them. I put them at flags, or there we go. You know, for example, last month's Pig Latin challenge. This is actually, if I look at the source of this, it's using a similar kind of a pattern where I've embedded, you know, just plain text, and the goal of this WebSent tool is to let me just make slides without thinking about formatting and just type text. And then the actual contents of the slide formatter is a very small piece of JavaScript. Well, in the same way, I want µEforth to be able to do all this. Now, µEforth is large and is actually kind of built up from a bunch of pieces, but it's not that large either. So, in any event, let's see. So things you could do with it. You can make this slide deck, which is interactive, and maybe that's a good time to go look at this. So the slide deck, actually the slide deck. Sorry, we go through that in the slides here, so we can make things interactive. You can do graphics. So in µEforth, there's some words that are now included for graphics, and you can pop up you can choose what resolution you want and draw things in color. And so the actual slide framework here is fairly straightforward. I've just got a couple of words to define sort of the color that I want. µEforth supports Unicode inline, and so I'm able to print things like this bullet character inline. I set the font size. I have sort of two different size slides. The opening slide and the ending slide, you'll notice, are slightly larger font. And then I define this ADAT pipe word to be a word that uses this raw string, multi-line string that I've got in µEforth, emits a bullet and then types out the line. And then a similar sort of an arrangement for for printing a title, where I print the title in red. You see the red up here and is number 9, and then this and then I print a similarly length number of these aren't actually dashes. These are some other Unicode line character, and then I switch back the font, and so I'm able to have a word for a slide. And then to keep track of the state of the slides, I have an index for the current slide. I have a deck of 200 cells to give myself room for slides. I keep track of how many slides I've added so far, and I add a slide by adding an execution token to that deck. And then the main loop of this slide tool is just a begin again loop, looping over and over again, loading the particular index that I'm on, actually clearing the screen, loading the index I'm on, and then executing the code for that particular slide. I use H and L VI keys to increment and decrement the slide index, clipping it so that I can't go past the first slide or past the last slide. I forgot to update the deck, but since the time I put in the code into the slide deck, I've made one slight modification. In fact, let's look at this. I've added a quit word, which is useful if you want to demonstrate. For example, I'll hit quit now, and oops, that's not working. Why is that not working? That's peculiar. That's well, that's a little odd. Okay. Well, as you can see, Forth lives out here as well. We'll go back in. I'm not sure what was going on there. I must have hit something peculiar. And that sort of leads into demo and questions. Mostly in the demo, what I wanted to show was what a slide actually looks like. And so, for example, here's the motivation slide, and it's just a nameless word. I specify it's a big slide, give its title, and then have them pipe separated. And then I have a series of bullets, and then end the word and add it to the slide deck. Maybe not the most compact domain-specific language I could have come up with, but it was come up with in like an hour, and so thrown together. The graphical slide that I showed before, I guess we could go back to that. This slide, for example, was done by going into graphics mode, specifying certain dimensions, and then drawing a bunch of boxes. And there's a little text area at the bottom. And that is it. Are there any questions? All right. Someone has said something in the chat, and oh, that's Dave. Back to you, Kevin. And you're muted, Kevin.